Hey guys, welcome back from Spotsylvania, Virginia. I'm here in my home and talking to you. So 1 Kings chapter 11, let's talk about the ugly phase of Solomon's reign. Jump on in today.
Welcome to Everyday Truth with Kurt Skelly. We believe the Bible is true and relevant to everyone, everywhere, every day. If today's conversation is a help to you, take a moment to leave a review or share it with a friend. Thanks for listening. Now, let's join Kurt for today's episode.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's late here on Tuesday night, and I'm talking to you on Wednesday. At least I think I am. So I'm a little bit behind, but I wanted to get this episode in. We are in 1 Kings chapter 11. I'm in my house, by the way, and I hope that you can hear me okay. I got my earpods in. But 1 Kings chapter 11, we've been talking about this ugly period in Solomon's life where he did the things that God had specifically and categorically warned him not to do. He multiplied to himself wealth and horses and women. So in all these areas where he should have been trusting God, finding his satisfaction in God, he was chasing the wind. Hence the book of Ecclesiastes, where Solomon really gives his testimony about how unwise those behaviors were. But sin has consequences. And while we can deal with our sin in repentance, we can't necessarily change the course of our consequences. And what we're finding in 1 Kings chapter 11 is that Solomon is dealing with these consequences. Solomon, because of your divided heart, I will divide the kingdom. What irony. You have a divided heart, therefore I will divide the inheritance that I have given you. Now, God said, because of David, I'm going to have mercy on you. I'm going to allow there to be a vestige of Davidic rule over the kingdom. And so what God essentially did was to divide the kingdom into two parts. A bigger part, that would be the non-David section, that would retain the name Israel, that would be the northern kingdom. And then the southern kingdom, that would now have the name of its larger tribe, Judah, and that would be the one that would retain Jerusalem as the capital and the Davidic line of kings. So Solomon's son Rehoboam would be the king over that southern kingdom. I'm getting ahead of myself. Verse number 12, God says, notwithstanding, in thy days, I will not do it. So I'm not going to divide the kingdom during your lifetime, Solomon. Why? For David, thy father's sake. But I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. So Solomon, unfortunately, your bad choices will make your son's life harder. Now, does that mean that God judges children for the sins of their parents? No. But it does mean that parents, we can create situations that make it more difficult for our children. And that's what Solomon did here. Look at verse 13 rather. Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe, and really it's Judah, and subsumed in Judah would be Benjamin. I will give one tribe to thy son for David, my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. So I'm going to honor my presence in Jerusalem. You've built that temple there. I'm going to honor my unconditional promise to David back in 2 Samuel chapter 7. But Solomon, make no mistake about it, you are having to suffer the consequences for your divided heart. Now, how does God do this? How does God begin to allow unrest in a kingdom that has enjoyed its greatest borders, has enjoyed its greatest strength, has enjoyed its greatest wealth? I mean, the heydays of Israel have just taken place, and now everything begins to go downhill. How does God allow that? Well, look at verse 14, where it says, "And the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon." Then he names that adversary Hadad the Edomite. So Edom would be south and a little bit west of Israel. The Edomites were historically those that were descendants of Esau. And even though they were God's people's cousins and should have gotten along, they didn't. And there had been a history of jealousies and fightings, just like Jacob and Esau had that history. So their descendants had that same history. And back in David's reign, the Edomites had almost been wiped out by David's general Joab. In fact, it talks about that here in these verses. Verse 15, "For it came to pass when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was gone up to bury the slain, after he had smitten every male in Edom." So that's a big win, and that's a slaughter. "For 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel, until he had cut off every male in Edom, that Hadad fled." So Hadad was a male in Edom, but he got away. He and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him. So Hadad is of the king's seed. Some of Hadad's fellow servants, they fled as well to go into Egypt, were running for safety, Hadad being yet a little child. So it seems that what's happening here is that they recognize Hadad has royal potential. Some of the king's servants take him and they whisk him away to safe haven in Egypt. And it says that they came out of Midian, they came to Paran, and they took men with them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt. So these are stopping points along the way. Unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, which gave him an house, appointed him victuals, and gave him land. So why would Pharaoh kind of prop up Hadad? I mean, why not just leave well enough alone? The Edomites have been destroyed. They're down to next to nothing. Why not just let them be stamped out? Why give them favor? Why help them? Because Pharaoh is a politician. And Pharaoh knows that if I can be good to this future king, if I can be kind to him, if he ever again gets to power, then I'll have a strategic stronghold in Edom. So Pharaoh is playing his cards right here. Hadad has been saved. He's an Edomite, and Pharaoh is playing the long game. Watch how he does that. Verse 19, "And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him," Pharaoh did, "to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tahpenes, the queen." So during this time, Hadad not only prospers, he's not only protected by Pharaoh under his protective custody, but Pharaoh grows to like him. And he has great favor with Pharaoh. And Pharaoh likes him so much that he gives his own sister-in-law to Hadad to be his wife. So now there's not only this political and strategic connection, but now Hadad has this familial connection. Things are getting stronger. Now, what's interesting is all of this is happening while Solomon is growing up. So Solomon is growing up at the same time that Hadad is growing up. And Solomon is becoming wildly successful, and Solomon's following God. And Hadad is over here with a wicked Pharaoh, and his nation is being destroyed, and Solomon's nation is growing. And yet what's happening is when Solomon gets to a place of disobedience, Hadad is going to get to a place of prominence. And God is allowing this in order to be a nettlesome rebuke in the life of Solomon. Because it says in verse 20, "And the sister of Tahpenes bare him Ganuba." I'm trying to see if I can read this correctly. I think that's what it says. "His son, whom Tahpenes weaned in Pharaoh's house, and Ganuba was in Pharaoh's household among the sons of Pharaoh." So this gets stronger yet, because Hadad has a son, and that son is raised among Pharaoh's own children. So now Pharaoh has this affection, not just this family connection, but this strong affection for Hadad. God's allowing all of this. Now, what's interesting is Solomon has also made some deals with the foreign kings. Remember, that's what the wives were all about. They represented foreign alliances. And remember, the very first foreign alliance that Solomon made was with Pharaoh, when Pharaoh gave Solomon his daughter. Now, Solomon should have done none of that. Solomon should have been content to find a woman who loved the Lord, with whom he could worship the Lord. But Solomon played games. And it's these games of politics. It's these games of objectifying women and making these political friendships that ultimately are going to come back and bite Solomon. You better be careful what weapons you use. You better be careful what pits you dig, because he that digs a pit oftentimes falls into the pit, the very pit that he digs. So be very careful. And Solomon here is about to feel that sting, because it says in verse 21, and when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his father, so David died, and that Joab, the captain of the host, was dead. Remember, Joab was killed. That Hadad said to Pharaoh, let me depart, that I may go to mine own country. Hey, I want to go back home. I want to reestablish my kingdom in Edom. It's been years. Pharaoh said to him, but what hast thou lacked with me? That behold, thou seekest to go to thine own country. What did I do wrong? Was it something I said? I mean, why are you wanting to leave? And basically, Hadad says, no, it's nothing with you. I just want to go back home and establish my kingdom. And he answered, nothing. Howbeit, let me go in any wise. And God stirred him up another adversary, Rezon, the son of Eliada, which fled from his lord Hadadezer, king of Zobah. And he gathered men unto him and became captain over a band. When David slew them of Zobah, and they went to Damascus and dwelt therein and reigned in Damascus. And he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon, beside the mischief that Hadad did, and he abhorred Israel and reigned over Syria. You know, it's very interesting. God allows two enemies like pincers, one to the south, Hadad, one to the north, Rezon. Both of these enemies were people that had been handily defeated by David. They're vagabonds of war. They're has-beens. They're people that represent a country that and a people that were decimated by David. But now that Solomon is turning his back on God, now that Solomon has a divided heart, these enemies come back into power. And it's almost like a slap in the face, because what God is saying to Solomon is, Solomon, it wasn't your strength. It wasn't your political savvy. It wasn't the horses that you gathered for warfare. It wasn't the gold that you had amassed. It wasn't your wisdom. It wasn't your political savvy. Solomon, I blessed you because your heart was full on for me. And now I'm showing you that the people that are bothering you are nobodies from nowhere, whom your father easily defeated. And what I'm showing you, Solomon, is your big mistake was you didn't trust me. You didn't follow me. My word was not esteemed in your eyes. Why? Because the blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. True success is not what we can do. It's resting and trusting in what God can do and who God is. And Solomon was learning a very difficult lesson. Now, there's somebody that God raises up, not to the south, not to the north, but there's a third one that God raises up right in the middle of the country itself. That's the worst one. We'll talk about him tomorrow. Until then, hope you have a great day in the Lord. God bless you, my friends.